Hey friends, how are you doing today? It's Krista Hirschberger with Krista's Crafty and coming to you because I promised you a day or so ago in one of my live feeds on my Facebook business page that I would share with you some more about this card and about this circle and how we use some glossy spray paints that we carry close to my heart. And so this is something new for me, but something that's been kind of fun. Not kind of, it has been fun. If you like to get messy, this is the way to go. And I just had this circle was an afterthought, adding it to this card. If you're not familiar and you didn't see the other video, this is our April stamp of the month. I was going to say August. Our April stamp of the month. It's called Message in a Bottle. And because this month we have the stamp of the month, plus we have the Wildberry Blast special going on, which is everything Wildberry, which is our color of the year. I decided to combine the two when I made this. So I thought I'd come and share today some info about the gloss sprays. Now, these are the current gloss sprays we have. They are made by Dinah Wakely, okay? Fuchsia. It's not called Wildberry, but it's Fuchsia. And this, hey, Wendy. Hi, thanks for stopping in. I just kind of quickly went on here. But this Fuchsia matches our Wildberry pretty well, as you can see on this card here, okay? And so, like I said, these are new to me, but I've been having some fun. And I thought I'd show you what I'm doing and even do a few samples here. So if you see this brown piece here is one of our all-purpose craft mats, all-purpose mats. And when I did this, I sprayed this in a box, which you can do, but you're going to see some fun things that you can do on a craft mat that doesn't soak in the paint and use all the excess paint that's sprayed there versus spraying it in a box. And I was amazed at this. I had watched some tutorials and stuff too and thought I'd share with you. So right now I will tell you the lime is out of stock. So we're going to kind of set this there. I'm not sure if I'll use that, but we have white and cheddar and fuchsia and ocean and turquoise, and then gilt, which is a gold spray, which is really, really fun. So let me pop these up here. There are a couple things. If you know, you hear that? The ball inside. So they are they are acrylic paints. They're a glossy acrylic paint, but they are water-based before they dry, and then they are like paint after they dry. So it really will, it'll be painted. If you spray it on something and let it dry, like a stencil sheet, when you spray through a stencil, it will dry and it will color the stencil this if you let it dry on the stencil and don't get it in water right away. So it is quick moving and quick working. So how did I get that circle? This one's really easy, and this is kind of the basic, is just to spray it on. And so I think you should be able to do that. What you want to do is always shake them up. I always have a wet towel with me, a dry towel as well, and they can clog. I had a few that clogged before here when I was playing, but what I did is, and I was watching and listening to some tips. They said always wipe the nozzle off when you're done and recap it right away. And that has worked with the ones that I've been doing it. But I did just take the nozzle out and run it under hot water and played with it till I got it to work for some of the others. So how did I get this circle? It simply was a spray like so. And did you see I did halfway down? Or let me pull in another circle. I did halfway down, or if I do a full pump, and is this close enough for you to see? If I do a full pump, it's going to get you a spray look, okay? So I'm going to wipe this off because that's the easiest. And you can add that, and I'll show you some pages then that we did in scrapbook classes and stuff that it is. And you see that it's curling the paper, okay? It is okay. It'll even out. Where the full spray, and this was a half a pump, and yes, I'm getting all painty, and that's okay. And do you see the difference in that? So you really have some fun to play with that as well. Now, yeah, I'm going to wipe this up and show you a tip later when we have multiple colors on the mat. So wiping it up, if you would happen to have it dry on the craft mat, you can just take your Cricut scraper and scrape it off. Like I said, it will be paint and it will adhere, but the Cricut scraper will take it off because this is, oh, what's the word? All of a sudden I can't think. Help me, help me. So there we go with that. But it's, yeah, you can pull it off. I can't think what it's called. Anyhow, so something else then. Let's do this. So we can just spray it with that. Now let's do, this is a tag that I am going to do. And this is something that I thought was cool. So I already have this set up. I did one that I'll show you a sample after I'm done this. But I just laid wood acrylic shapes on here. And let me zoom in just a bit. Okay. Does that mess you up? Wood acrylic shapes, and we're going to spray this in multiple colors. Okay. So I'm really liking these three colors together, the fuchsia ocean and turquoise. Actually, before I do this, let me quick show you something else. Watercolor paper. I'm going to show you another basic thing before we get into this. Okay. So I'm going to use these three colors again that I talked about and spray it on here. And I want you to see how they react when there's more than one color. Because that should be, we did this with one color and this was a half pump down. This was a full spray down and you can see it's already dried. You see that? And it's getting glossy. But check this out. Okay, so let me start with the fuchsia again. And so we're going to, and this is watercolor paper. I do it on White Daisy the same, and I'll show you that. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe it off and recap it. Let's get some ocean, and I want you to watch what happens. Do you see how it's pulling? I should have done it a little bit more. What's fun is you can continue to play with these when they're wet. Do you see these dots that are forming? That is one thing when you're mixing colors that it will begin to do and form little patterns just because of what kind of paints they are. And I want to pull in some pinks again. Probably wouldn't have needed to cap that right away. Isn't that fun? This is just like playing. And now you can see how the pinks mixed in to make the purples. Okay. And it's actually what you can do now is take a dry paper towel. Let's do this. I was watching. And dab it, and you can see you're going to take away some, right? You can dab it like that, and then you can go back in there. Maybe I want some more of the, what is this? Mint. Looks like mint, like our mint, turquoise. And you see how it's pulling up again? There are so many fun things you can do with that. Now, we're going to set this over here. Is that still my camera? And now I'm going to take my spray bottle, just a regular spray bottle, and I'm going to spray this that's on here. And I'm going to take another piece of, I should just do plain paper. This is kind of a long, this is just White Daisy cardstock. And I'm just going to go in here and start picking up this excess. Wouldn't this be fun to die cut some pieces from? How fun. And so this is going to take a little bit to dry, right? But you can then also, if you don't like how it's turning out, come in here and use the sprays to add more color to it as well. But how fun is that? So you can use a lot of what's there as well. I really like the ocean. So let me just do, that's going to be too dark, isn't it? See? All this fun stuff, right? Oh, I know what I should have done, but that's okay. So I'm going to wipe this off and go from there. Okay. So you can see now, can you see that? How close are you? Can you see that? And how that mint, that, I think they call it turquoise, popped in there just a little bit. I know, they are so fun. I haven't tried them. Not that it scared me. It was just something new, but close to my heart has been sharing. And then I'm just going to wipe this up here. And then other consultants have been sharing. Look at this one. Look how this is turning out. And it's getting that gloss effect. One thing they suggest, do not use your heat gun to dry it. Okay? That was one thing they did suggest. And you know who suggested it is the maker of these gloss sprays. Her name's Dinah Wakely. And she said, do not use the heat gun to dry them, but let them dry on their own because you're going to get more color of those. Okay. I know. I love this one too. Now here, okay, let me do another quick thing. I have two more kind of techniques to show you. I'm going to stick this up out of the camera's way. I have a couple drying up here that I tried right before we started too. Now I want to pull this tag in, and this is another fun thing. I have an example that I did with the acrylic shapes, but I want to show you what it looks like with the wood shapes, because what we're going to do by using these sprays is actually, and let me pull this up because I'm spraying off my mat there a little bit, how my camera is. Let me move this down, okay, and pull these back in. See what you can see. Facebook has a little bit of delay, so I'm like, I want you to be able to see this. All right, this time, let's pull in this cheddar. Cheddar, I know what I'm going to do. Cheddar, these three. Cheddar, fuchsia, and turquoise. And we don't have to do threes. I'm not sure why I'm doing threes. Actually, let's just do two. We'll do fuchsia and turquoise. I'm sticking with fuchsia because I love the wild berry. It doesn't take that long to dry, Wendy. Like, okay, let me take that back. It depends on how much you're saturating your paper with. And it also depends the type of paper you're doing it on. The watercolor paper, can you see their texture in there? It's a little bit thicker. It's going to absorb better and not go through the back, where the white daisy is a little more flimsier, but it still works. This is a piece of white daisy. This is one that I did prior to here, and it's dry, but it feels damp. So does that make sense? So it's kind of a playing, and like I said, I'm still learning, so I'm not totally sure, but when I just do a quick mist, like when I did these circles, they're dry in no time, like they're totally done. So it just depends how much you saturate. So let's take this again and spray. I'm going to spray right on top of these flowers. Look. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try and do better here, and I'm going to wipe my cap off each time, wipe my nozzle and put the cap on right away. And then I'm going to pull in this turquoise. Oh, wait, I know what I'm going to do. Sorry, I'm still learning, I said. So now I'm going to take my tweezers and pull these off. Now, do you see? Oh, that moved a little bit, but these are then going to be colored. Oh, I put that out of the camera sight. There. There, you can see that if I put it there. Oh, get my hair out of the way, right? So how fun is that? So you can have these then, just let them dry, and you've colored your shapes, your wood shapes. And I'll show you how I did it with acrylic too. Now, we need to let that dry a little bit, because what's going to happen next, and I'm just going to pat it for this. See if I can get that dry a little bit. Because now watch, and hopefully this works, that I remember to do this right. I'm going to spray the turquoise right over top. Okay. Now, right away, you come in here with a dry paper towel and you pat it. And look what happens. Do you see that? Where the white was, that's where the turquoise goes. How cool is that? And it gives you a color, and even some of the turquoise you can see a little bit on there. Isn't that cool? So you can get a two-tone that way. And then I'm going to take my water. I just can hardly stand, and I have some tags here that I'm just gonna take up. And wouldn't this be a fun little background or whatever? Use some of that excess, right, paint. All things messy, right? And then let me wipe this up. I think I need more paper towels. Okay. And now what I'm going to do on this one, as this is drying, another great way. Oh, let me quick show you this. So this is the heart one that I did earlier. And so I sprayed it just like this, and I did the same effect as what I just did with this tag. And I used my acrylic, and it actually had dried that way, and I'll show you. But then I sprayed the lime on top and wiped it away and got this look. So it is curled a little bit. what you just use good strong tape, but look at the detail and the glossiness in there. And I was really happy. I didn't know if it would stick to our acrylic shapes, and it did. Now it just gives it kind of a tie-dyed look. I thought that was really cool too. So whether it's the wood shapes, whether it's the acrylic shapes, you've got things going on there. Okay. So now with this, oh, it's starting to, and that's okay. It's starting to go onto my mat. And like I said, when it dries on here, I could take my Cricut scraper and scrape it off. But another great way, and this is going to actually, hold on here. It's going to look better on a dark paper. So I'm going to, let me just cut this off to a 5.5 so we can use it on a card base. Okay. This is wild berry color, since we're talking about that. But look at what I'm going to do. Now, do I do gold? I think I'm going to do white on this. So another thing is you don't even have to spray them. Another great way to use these is to add splattering. And the white shows up best. And I'm just going to use my finger here. And it is just white paint. You see that? And how fun is that? So I see I am getting it out more as I'm spreading it. So that you may want to do in a box because it's going out my table and everything. So lesson learned, right? You learned from me. So that's all good. But look how, pretty that makes it as well. And then I want to spray just a little bit. Let's go with the turquoise on here. Actually, let's do the cheddar. We haven't used the cheddar yet. No, sorry, the gold. Make up your mind, right? And we'll do that. And that will be the gold. It's called gilt. It's not gold. It's called gilt, but it's shiny gold when it's done. Okay. And you can see a little bit of that shine on top of there. Yay. So I hope that was helpful. Let me look at my notes real quick. Excess, we did droplets on dark paper. We did the tags where you can put a shape there and it will actually color the acrylics and the wooden shapes that you can use in future projects and make some designs. And then here's this one that I did on the watercolor paper. Isn't that turning out beautiful? Look at that gloss. I really like this one. I think this will be a good card base. But you can see, Wendy, there. Can you see that's a little bit wet right on the edges yet where I had more of the inks? And so we'll let that dry a little bit yet. And then here are some of the other excess papers that I did earlier. And so whether you use it as, and let me show you, the circle, that's the other thing. I love our thin cuts. And the circle, the Stitch Slimline Circle Thin Cut is this one, where it has these 3 stitch circles and this plate. And I actually ended up cutting it yesterday. I hadn't cut it. Well, I did. I didn't see them in the back. But this is what you get out of this thin cut. You get the slimline with the stitching and the scalloped. Let me do that. Here, let's do that. Stitching and the scalloped around each circle. And then you also get punched out these, which have edging on them as well, which you probably cannot see because, let's do this. There. Can you see the edging on them? They're like parts of the edge. And then you also get 3 of the white circles. And so there's a lot in one of these stitch dies, and I'm tending to use these stitch circles a lot because I do make slim lines, but not all the time. And I love the extra pieces that come in these for that. So that's where that stitch circle came from. But this is, let me show you this one. This is another one that I did, and I think I showed you this earlier, but look at the gold gloss on there that I did as a final touch. So it was so fun. Real quick, I pulled out Sweet Safari scrapbooking kit. This actually is still available. This is the first time. Wendy, were you here at that class? This was the first time, and let me back out. this was the first time we had used the gloss sprays, or close to my heart. And we had, and I know they're in the page protectors, but we sprayed on top of the die cuts just to give it a little bit of dimension. So, and we also sprayed it on the foam alphabet letters that we carry as well, just again to give the spray look. So that was just using it as the spray. And here's a background. You probably can see some of that there as well. Okay. And so that was that. And then just recently, well, this fall, when we did Holly and Ivy, and this one did sell out, the Holly and Ivy scrapbooking kit, we used the gilt, which is that gold shine. And this was beautiful. And let me show you where we did it on patterned paper. Can you see that plaid paper? And we sprayed the gilt on top of there. So don't limit it to just plain cardstock, right? And we also, there was one other thing on the dark. Look at this beautiful dark harbor paper. And this isn't the best. I should have taken my paint things away. But you can see how that gilt gold, let me do this, comes so beautifully onto the dark colors as well. And that white would do the same thing. I think the white would make it look like snow, right? And this just kind of gives it a fun little shine. And I did a mist. So I went full spray and then also pumped. And I did some drips. I believe I opened my bottle up and did some drips on this layout as well. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that about gloss sprays with you. Any questions, give a shout. Like I said, I'm learning too, so we're learning together. How fun is that? But I thought this was so interesting, and I was just having fun and wanted to share that with you too. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me today. Any questions, just give me a shout below, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Have a great day. We'll see ya.